They say the Templars found it buried beneath the ruins of Solomon's temple. A sword that doesn't cut flesh, but time itself. Forged in silence, glowing with symbols older than language, it was the key to the Earth's hidden power, and the reason the Templars vanished. Centuries later, one man discovers the truth. The sword still exists, waiting to be drawn. And when it is, time will bleed again. The desert wind carried a voice older than memory. Beneath the golden dunes of Jerusalem, a forgotten entrance yawned open, the last breath of Solomon's temple, buried for centuries beneath layers of time and dust. When the Templars descended into that darkness, their torches flickered like dying souls. The air was thick, humming with a strange vibration that made the stones tremble. Brother Matthew, their leader, whispered a prayer, but even his voice seemed swallowed by the echo of something vast, something awake. They found it in the lowest chamber, resting on a slab of obsidian, a sword unlike any they had ever seen. Its blade shimmered with light that did not belong to fire. Ancient letters crawled across its surface, glowing faintly, not in gold, but in movement, like living symbols. The Sword of Solomon, Matthew breathed, kneeling before it. The key that opens what should never be opened. None of them noticed how the air around the blade bent slightly, as if time itself was breathing. And when Matthew's fingers brushed the hilt, the torchlight froze, suspended mid-flicker, and for a heartbeat, the world stood still. Then came the whisper. Not of man, not of God, but of time. When the world began to move again, Brother Matthew stumbled backward, gasping. His torch hissed as if drowning in invisible water. The others looked at him in horror. His eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the same symbols that burned along the blade. "What did you see?" one of them asked. Matthew's voice trembled. Not what or when. In that moment, they understood. The sword was not meant to slay, but to unravel. It was a bridge between what was, what is, and what may come. The ancient texts had spoken of Solomon not only as a king, but as a keeper of energies, a master of gates between worlds. This sword was his key. The Templars swore a secret vow that night. They sealed the chamber, leaving only coded symbols behind, and buried the entrance beneath the desert sands. None of them would speak of what they found. None would live long enough to. Centuries passed. The world forgot their covenant. But some things refused to stay buried. In the ruins of a monastery in Provence, a scholar named Gabriel Duval brushed away centuries of dust from a crumbling scroll. The parchment carried the red cross of the temple, and words written in blood. When the stars align over Zion, the blade shall breathe again. Gabriel felt his pulse quicken. He didn't yet know it, but the blood in his veins carried the same vow. He was the last descendant of the Templar who had touched the sword, and the whisper of time had begun to call him. Gabriel Duval sat alone in his candlelit study, the old scroll spread open before him like a wound. The letters shimmered faintly, not just ink, but a strange, metallic gleam that shifted under the flame. When he tilted the parchment, symbols emerged between the lines, forming an intricate constellation. He reached for his magnifier, tracing the pattern. It wasn't Latin. It wasn't Hebrew. It was geometry, sacred geometry, the language of Solomon's masons. And at its center glowed a single mark, a sword within a circle. Gabriel whispered to himself, "It's not a map of places, it's a map of energy." As he pressed his finger against the symbol, a faint spark leapt from the parchment. cold, electric, and alive. The room dimmed. For a heartbeat, he wasn't in his study anymore. He saw sand, ruins, and a dark figure kneeling before a sword of light. He gasped and stumbled back, breaking the vision. The candle flickered wildly. Books toppled from shelves. And in the silence that followed, a whisper echoed, the same words written centuries ago in the temple walls. He who awakens the sword must face the silence between seconds. Gabriel clutched the scroll, his heart pounding. The scholar in him sought reason, but the blood of his ancestors burned with memory. He knew this was no dream. The map was calling him. Outside, thunder rolled across the French hills. And in that rumble, if one listened closely, there was something more, a rhythmic pulse, like the slow heartbeat of the earth itself. The same pulse the Templars once felt beneath Jerusalem. 2 months later, the French sun sank behind Gabriel's shoulders as his plane descended over the Judean desert. The wind that once guided crusaders now swept over endless dunes, and somewhere beneath them, the secret his blood remembered waited. Archaeologists at the dig site thought he was just another historian from Paris. None suspected the crimson ring he wore, engraved with the Templar cross, a relic passed down through generations of his family, though none knew its true origin. That night, after the others slept, Gabriel returned alone to the excavation trench. The scroll from Provence rested against his chest. Under the moonlight, its symbols began to glow again, aligning with the stars above, forming a perfect reflection of the heavens on the sand below. He stepped closer. The air trembled. The dunes shifted as if breathing, grains of sand floating upward in defiance of gravity. Then, with a deep groan, the earth split open before him, revealing a narrow stairway descending into darkness. A gust of warm, ancient air rushed out, carrying the scent of incense and age. Gabriel's hand shook as he raised his lantern. Carved along the stone archway were words in ancient Aramaic. Enter not as seeker of power, but as keeper of time. He hesitated. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but something deeper pulled him forward. The same pulse he'd heard in France now echoed beneath his feet, steady and alive. He took the first step, then another. And as the sands closed above him, the desert went silent, as if holding its breath. Gabriel's lantern flickered as he stepped into the hollow silence. The air was warm, thick with the scent of stone and forgotten prayers. His footsteps echoed endlessly, as if the walls themselves repeated every sound 1,000 times over. He reached the bottom of the stairway and found himself in a vast chamber carved with symbols that seemed to breathe. Circles within circles, spirals, and star maps stretched across the walls, all pulsing faintly, as though they responded to his presence. At the center stood an altar of black stone. On it, an hourglass made entirely of crystal. Sand flowed upward instead of down. Gabriel's pulse quickened. A mirror of time, he whispered. As he approached, a whisper brushed against his ear, but there was no one there. Then another voice joined it, echoing softly, ancient and distant, as if speaking from within the walls. The covenant remains unbroken. The keeper has returned. The runes on the walls ignited in a soft blue glow. Dust began to rise, swirling around him in slow spirals. He clutched his lantern tighter, but the flame no longer burned. It floated, suspended in midair like everything else. Gabriel realized, with sudden terror, that time had stopped. Only he was still moving. In the frozen air, shadows began to take shape, silhouettes of men in Templar armor, their faces hidden behind helmets of light. One stepped forward, his voice a deep echo. Do not seek the blade for power. It will not obey the unworthy. Gabriel swallowed hard. I seek truth, not dominion. The knight raised his gauntlet and pointed toward the far end of the chamber, where a set of ancient doors stood sealed with molten gold. Then faced the silence between seconds, the spirit said, and the path will open. As the vision faded, time exhaled, and the sand in the hourglass began to fall again, ear backward. The golden doors towered before Gabriel, glimmering like liquid sunlight frozen in stone. Their surface rippled faintly, reflecting the chamber around him, yet his reflection was absent. Only the faint shimmer of the sword's symbol pulsed at the center, glowing with each beat of his heart. He placed his hand upon it. A shock of cold rushed through him, pulling his breath away. The sound of the world collapsed into a hum, not silence, but something deeper. He was no longer standing in the chamber. He was standing between moments. The air shimmered like glass around him. Frozen motes of dust floated in stillness. He turned and saw himself, the version that had not yet moved, trapped in an instant that hadn't happened. Welcome to the silence between seconds, a voice whispered. It was the Templar spirit, or perhaps something older, the very consciousness of the place. Here, time is the ocean, and you are its ripple. Gabriel looked around. Before him stretched corridors of light, each one a thread of possibility, memories, choices, futures, all interwoven into a great tapestry that pulsed like a living heart. In the distance, a faint outline appeared, a sword suspended in midair, its blade carved from pure light. He moved toward it, each step echoing across eternity. But as he approached, shadows stirred beneath the glow, hundreds of faint silhouettes whispering in forgotten tongues. Some were Templars, others ancient priests, and others, things without faces. They were guardians, echoes of those who had touched the sword and been consumed by what they saw. The voice spoke again, calm yet heavy as time itself. To draw the sword, you must offer what cannot be measured, your moment, your breath, your now. Gabriel hesitated, feeling his pulse slow. The edges of his body began to blur, as if the present were dissolving around him. And somewhere, beyond all time, the blade pulsed once, like a heartbeat answering his own. The blade hovered in the stillness, suspended in the heart of the void, radiant, yet silent. Its light wasn't blinding, but alive, flowing like liquid through the air, forming symbols that shifted with every breath. Gabriel stepped closer, drawn as if by gravity itself. Each step he took made the world around him ripple. He saw flashes, not memories, but possibilities. A city of gold swallowed by sand. Templars kneeling before an unseen presence. And Solomon himself, a figure robed in white fire, holding the same sword, whispering into the wind. Gabriel reached out. The closer his hand came, the slower everything moved. Even his heartbeat began to stretch into eternity. When his fingers finally brushed the hilt, warmth flooded through his veins, not burning, but awakening. The blade flared, flooding the void with light. Symbols shot across the air like constellations being born. Then came the voice, deep, resonant, inside and outside him at once. You have entered the line of Solomon, keeper of the gates. bearer of the key. Visions cascaded, rivers of light running beneath the earth, spirals of energy connecting sacred sites, cathedrals, temples, and mountains. He saw how the world was not a surface but a network, a living organism pulsing with divine current. And the sword was its switch. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed. This is not meant for man, nor for gods, the voice replied, but for balance. As the last word echoed, the blade trembled. Then, with a sound like the turning of a colossal wheel, the light imploded, pulling Gabriel through it. The chamber dissolved. Stone gave way to stars. He was falling, not through space, but through time. And at the end of the fall, he saw himself standing once more in the temple, the sword now buried in the altar, waiting. Only this time, the air around him was no longer still. It was watching. The night air above Jerusalem shimmered as Gabriel climbed from the catacombs, the sword of Solomon wrapped in linen that still glowed faintly through the fabric. He was no longer the same man who had entered those ruins. His heartbeat followed the rhythm of something far older, as if the earth itself moved within him. At the edge of the old city, figures emerged from the shadows. Hoods. Silver crosses. The emblem of the vanished Templar Order. They bowed. The bloodline endures, as said their leader, a woman whose eyes mirrored the golden light of the sword. For 7 centuries we waited for the one who would awaken it again. Gabriel's voice trembled. You knew about the sword all this time? The sword is not our weapon, as she answered softly. It is our covenant. You've reconnected the world above to the world below. Now the balance must be restored, or the earth will reclaim what man has stolen. As dawn rose over the desert, the Order of Solomon was reborn, not as knights of war, but as guardians of the planet's hidden pulse. And deep beneath the sands, the ancient light began to move once more. At first, it was only a tremor. A soft hum beneath Gabriel's feet, like distant thunder buried under stone. But as the sun rose, the hum spread, through sand, through mountain, through sea. Across the globe, instruments failed. Compasses spun in circles. In the Andes, glacier cracked with a sound like roaring beasts. In the Himalayas, monks claimed they saw the sky breathe, the air rippling as if alive. Gabriel stood atop the Mount of Olives, the sword of Solomon glowing faintly in his hand. He felt its pulse syncing with his own, each beat whispering a truth he could barely grasp. The earth wasn't breaking, it was awakening. Sophia, standing beside him, stared in awe. This energy, it's older than civilization, as she whispered. It's the same resonance the ancients called the breath of God. Gabriel turned to her, eyes filled with both wonder and fear. If the sword aligned the earth's pulse again, what happens when it reaches its peak? Sophia looked at the horizon, where the light shimmered like liquid gold. Then the veil will lift, she said, and the world will remember what it forgot. For centuries, humanity saw the earth as stone and soil, solid, silent, dead. But when the sword awakened, the illusion began to crack. Across deserts and oceans, the ground shimmered like glass. Hidden veins of light, invisible for millennia, bled through the crust, connecting sacred sites in a vast lattice of golden fire. Jerusalem, Giza, Delphi, Machu Picchu. Every temple, every stone circle, every forgotten altar, all pulsed as one, like a heart remembering its rhythm. Gabriel watched as the light climbed the sky, weaving through the clouds and spirals that formed symbols he'd seen in ancient manuscripts. The same symbols that had once been carved on the sword's blade. Sophia's voice trembled. These aren't just places of worship, they're conduits. The ancients weren't praying, they were maintaining the grid. Then a shadow passed across the light. From the north, storm clouds gathered, dense, metallic, unnatural. And in their reflection, Gabriel saw figures moving, an unseen order that had been waiting for this very moment. The veil had lifted, but something else had awakened with it. They had been waiting for centuries, hidden behind governments, corporations, and secret councils. The Shadow Order. Their symbol was a serpent devouring its own tail, the eternal cycle twisted into control. They believed the Sword of Solomon was not a key to balance, but a weapon to reshape the world. And now, they had found Gabriel. As the golden grid spread across continents, encrypted satellites began intercepting its frequency. Within a fortress beneath the Alps, a cold-eyed man in a tailored suit watched the energy readings. Activate the Convergence protocol, he ordered. If the sword can align the earth, it can also bend it. Far away, in the ruins of the old city, Gabriel felt the sudden distortion, like static crawling through the light. Sophia gasped. They're hijacking the resonance. The ground quaked, splitting the golden lines into fractures of black fire. Templar symbols flickered, fading into chaos. Gabriel raised the sword, shouting over the roar of the collapsing grid. This power was meant to heal, not to enslave. Somewhere in the storm, the serpent awoke. The desert sky split in two. Golden spirals of energy clashed with black streaks, tearing the air with soundless force. Gabriel raised the Sword of Solomon, feeling its hum synchronize with the earth's pulse. Each beat of the sword sent waves through mountains, rivers, and cities, life itself trembling in resonance. From the shadows, the Shadow Order advanced. Their devices glowed with cold blue light, trying to sever the golden grid, bend it to their will. Helicopters hovered, drones scanned the dunes, and on the ground, agents moved with lethal precision. Sophia's voice rang through the chaos. Gabriel, focus on the nodes. Align the sword with the ancient lattice. He ran across the shifting sands, guided by the golden lines. As he planted the sword into a stone pillar at the center of the Convergence, a beam shot upward, piercing clouds, colliding with the black energy in midair. Time fractured. Moments overlapped. The past flickered before him, Templars kneeling, Solomon walking the temple halls, the original forging of the blade. And the Shadow Order's figures wavered like ghosts, unsure of reality itself. The golden light expanded, forming a dome of pure resonance. Balance, or collapse, whispered the voice of the sword, ancient and alive. Gabriel gritted his teeth. He realized the world was not just fighting for control, it was deciding whether life itself could endure. The final moment approached. Gabriel planted the Sword of Solomon into the center of the golden dome, its tip piercing the sand as if touching the core of the earth itself. Energy erupted, not destructive, but alive. Rivers of light coursed through the veins of the planet, linking ancient sites, mountains, oceans, and forests. Time itself seemed to fold. Past, present, and future collided in brilliant waves. Gabriel saw the forging of the sword, the Templars kneeling in the temple, and visions of civilizations long lost. The Shadow Order screamed in frustration as their devices failed. The black streaks twisted and evaporated, unable to contain the living resonance of the sword. Sophia reached for Gabriel's arm. The sword isn't just a weapon, as she shouted over the roar. It's the pulse of the earth. It aligns everything that was fractured. The air shimmered. Gabriel felt himself stretching, not in body, but in awareness. He could hear the heartbeat of mountains, rivers, and winds. He felt the whispers of ancient guardians, guiding, judging, balancing. "You have touched the heart of time," the sword's voice murmured. "Now you are the keeper. Not to wield, but to align." Golden light surged around him, forming a lattice over the planet visible even from space. A network of harmony, a map of life itself restored. And for the first time in centuries, the earth exhaled, calm, alive, and aligned. Gabriel stood at the center of the golden lattice, the earth's pulse resonating through his veins. The sword of Solomon floated before him, radiant and alive, yet silent, waiting. He looked out over the desert, where the Shadow Order lay defeated, their devices in ruins, their ambition undone. The sword had chosen him, but with that choice came a responsibility heavier than any man could bear. Sophia whispered, Once you leave it, it will never be yours again. You can bind its power, hide it, or release it fully into the world." He clenched his fists. Memories of Templar knights, of Solomon himself, of centuries of guardianship flashed before his eyes. The sword wasn't a tool. It was a covenant, with the earth, with time, with life itself. Gabriel made his decision. He drove the blade deep into the stone dais once more. The glow spread, enveloping him and the desert, then receded, leaving the sword resting silently, dormant, but awake. Balance preserved, until the world calls again, the voice murmured. Sophia smiled, tears in her eyes. The world will remember her in ways we cannot yet see. Gabriel stepped back, feeling the weight lift and yet knowing the burden remained. The sword had chosen its keeper, but its story was far from over. Above the dunes, the first light of dawn broke, scattering gold across the sands. And somewhere, in the silence between moments, the earth's heartbeat continued, steady, eternal, and aligned. Months had passed since the desert tremors faded and the Sword of Solomon returned to its resting place. Gabriel and Sophia walked through the ancient ruins once more, no longer merely archaeologists, but guardians of a secret older than time itself. The golden lattice of energy had receded beneath the earth's crust, invisible to the eyes of men, yet humming faintly, like a heartbeat only the worthy could feel. Gabriel held a small, folded scroll, a message left by the Templars centuries ago. Its words were simple yet profound. The sword awakens when balance falters, and the keeper shall rise anew. Guard it, or the world shall remember chaos. Sophia looked at him, her eyes reflecting both wonder and caution. We've restored it, but it will call again, she said. Gabriel nodded, feeling the weight of his lineage settle into his bones. He understood now, the sword was not theirs to wield, but theirs to protect. Every step forward, every choice, would ripple across centuries. Far above, the desert wind carried a whisper, not of man, not of time, but of the earth itself. The world had been aligned, for now. But in the distance, hidden beneath ruins, deep forests, and mountains, Other guardians slept, waiting for the next call. And the Sword of Solomon remained, silent yet alive, a bridge between past, present, and what was yet to come. The story does not end. It continues, for those who dare to listen to the heartbeat of the earth.